Welcome to another edition of Oracle Cloud Talk. My name is David Hicks, Vice President of Business Development for the ISV ecosystem here at Oracle. And today I'm joined by a very special guest and a very long-term partner, and dare I actually say, someone that's becoming a friend through everything that we're doing together. I'm joined by Sean Elliott. He's the CTO for Körber. You actually know Körber, though, more as HighJump, somebody that's been in the supply chain warehouse management business for a very long time. But actually, instead of me talking about Sean and what he actually does, Sean, would love to have you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about Körber and Körber's supply chain software, and what you guys do.
Thank you very much, David. First off, a great thank you to everybody watching. As David mentioned, my name is Sean Elliott, and I am the Global Chief Technology Officer at Körber Supply Chain Software. At Körber, our focus is on providing leading class global solutions for the supply chain of today and the supply chain of tomorrow. We think of that in a very converged fashion, meaning that Körber Supply Chain provides not only software, which is where I focus my time, but also a full breadth of machinery solutions, implementation and consultation solutions, as well as all of the software technologies running on OCI that power the supply chain, again, of today and of tomorrow. As the Global Chief Technology Officer, my focus is on 3 or 4 things. First and foremost, as the title might imply, I focus a lot on technology strategy. That's one part partnerships and how we think about the ecosystem of technologies that are really required to deliver on the technology requirements of today's supply chain. But it's also first-party IP and the things that we go and build to create differentiation, to create novel innovation, and to create opportunity for our business, but ultimately for our customers. The second thing I focus on is not only technology, but portfolio strategy. And as the Global Chief Technology Officer, really on converging the portfolio strategy and thinking about how the supply chain of tomorrow is evolving and what solutions will be required, not only for the businesses that exist today, but as the landscape is shifting and evolving and transforming, how we can be ahead of the curve and help our customers to be ahead of the curve, both in the innovation we provide and also by partnering with leading technology solution providers like Oracle to ensure that we're ahead of everything that's coming, whether it is potentially disruptive events like coronavirus, or whether it's new novel opportunities to transform business models, to transform product mixes, and ultimately to transform supply chain operations, to deliver on your customers' expectations today, tomorrow, and in the future.
Great, thanks, Sean. That was an excellent overview, and yeah, I can imagine you've seen some interesting things in your business, supporting retailers, supply chain with COVID and others. Another story for another time, I am sure. But thanks for that. Again, why don't I ask you kind of my first question then, if you don't mind. When you were actually evaluating and looking at OCI, what were some of the technology challenges that you were trying to solve?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think there were 2 or 3 key criteria for us. First and foremost, if you come to understand the technology landscape in supply chain, there's a specific requirement and a very substantial requirement for performance. Supply chains tend to operate, especially depending upon industry, at massive scale. We have customers that ship literally millions of orders a day. The requirement as a result is to look for not only class-leading performance, but really class-leading price performance. And to understand that while we need things that operate at real-time global cloud scale, we also need to offer always the best total cost of ownership and return on investment for our customers. But we also need that capability across a very complex technology landscape. As a provider, Körber has over time brought together many different technology solution providers. Through acquisition, through merger, and through organic innovation, we've grown a portfolio that has a variety of technologies under the covers. We needed a provider and a partner that could not only assure us of class-leading reliability, of class-leading scale, and of class-leading price performance, but also could do so across a very wide and complex set of technologies that our customers rely on day in and day out. And the third piece was, as we think about the future of supply chain, we needed ultimate flexibility in our technology selections for the future. We needed a partner that not only brought class-leading platform as a service technologies in the cloud, but also was flexible, comfortable, and open to additional technologies we might bring on our own because they fit the needs of our market better than the platform as a service solutions that were provided by Oracle themselves. We needed to know that we could find the ultimate solution to all of those different questions in one partnership, rather than selecting a variety of partnerships, each of which suited maybe one or two of those requirements, but none of which satisfied all of them. We found that answer in OCI.
So thanks for that description, Sean. I absolutely appreciate that. So we've been partners for a while. So actually, let's get into the next phase of this. Why don't you share a little bit about your journey to the cloud, with Oracle?
That's a great story and one I love to tell. If it's okay with you, David, I'm going to start maybe just a half a shade before the journey with Oracle, because I think it's important to note some of the other attempts or some of the other opportunities that we tried and what ultimately led us to OCI and to where we're really happy and quite successful these days. I think most businesses transitioning to the cloud and thinking about how to evolve and mature a cloud strategy are going to look at a variety of different solutions. Could be private data center. And by the way, we looked at that. It sometimes is more of an IaaS style or an infrastructure vendor approach, someone like a CenturyLink that's providing facilities, but not necessarily some of the higher level services that an OCI is going to offer. We've tried that. And of course, OCI is one of a few vendors capable of providing that global scale cloud infrastructure with robust capabilities. Microsoft and Amazon and Google also like to bring similar offers to the market. And we looked at those. What we found is whether it was with Amazon, Microsoft, vendors like CenturyLink, or in our own data centers, again, as I mentioned earlier, one or more of our technology requirements really was difficult to achieve. In private data centers, we found we could achieve the performance we were looking for, but typically not at the cost we were looking for, nor with the robust assurances of reliability and uptime that were necessary for our customers who oftentimes run 24/7 operations. In Amazon and in Microsoft, what we found very often was that we could achieve the reliability or we could achieve the scalability, but neither in combination, and certainly not across the varied landscape of technologies that we were looking for. The solutions that they offered were great if you were using Microsoft technology, for example, but not as great when you were looking at an Oracle technology or an older technology, or when you were looking to bring a hyper-modern technology that you'd selected in the open source community that didn't match the platform as a service strategy for the cloud provider. We attempted 4 different times, again, private data centers, facility providers like CenturyLink, Microsoft, and Amazon. And what we found in every case is that while we were able to mature and learn, we ultimately fell short of the true market requirements that we saw from our customers, from our partners, and from our internal stakeholders. When we made the decision to move towards OCI as a result, it was with frankly, a bit of skepticism. We had, gone through the battle several times, if I can say it that way. We'd identified technologies that were robust in their own right, but still didn't meet the true extent of the requirements that we had. And we were skeptical that anybody was really going to provide what we were looking for in one shop, in one solution set. We were prepared fully as a result to make a hybrid decision and to bring certain pieces of our technology to one platform and other pieces of our technology solution to another platform. What we found with Oracle was really 2 things, one part technology and one part organization. And I can't emphasize, frankly, enough the value in making the decision and in being successful after the fact that organization really provided. Technology isn't easy, but technology is really only the foundation. It's the people that surround it and the organization and process that surrounds it that's made this a success for us. What we found is that OCI checked all of the boxes, but that we still struggled a little bit, mostly because we didn't educate ourselves fast enough on how to be successful with Oracle. And even in spite of our long relationship, OCI is a different animal than the tried and true Oracle DBMS or application platforms that the business has been known for many, many years. Mm-hmm. As a result, what really made this successful for us was the partnership. was the willingness of Oracle not only to land class-leading technology in our business, but to bring people alongside us, architects, to teach us how Oracle cloud infrastructure worked at a detailed level, to help us troubleshoot during the proof of concept phases, the things that weren't working exactly as we expected them to. In some cases, to bring the development organization alongside and to better understand the roadmap and the innovations that were coming in OCI, to ensure that we were not only making good decisions based on what was on market today, but also the technology that was going to be available 30, 60, 90, sometimes even further out than that. And to partner with us to allow us to help shape that roadmap to ensure that it really aligned with the needs that we had to provide that class-leading solution to our customers based upon a combination of our technology and Oracle's. What we found was a beautiful blend, a really great solution that was comprised of class-leading technology we needed with an organization that was committed to making us successful at using it.
Yeah, it's great. We've actually kind of got a saying here now that, we need to do our best work after we win your business. So I appreciate those actually comments, and I'm glad that it comes out. We're in this together for the long haul. We're here to support your customers as well. And so it's great. Nice to know we're doing exactly what we say, and we're delivering not just on the technology, but the other piece. You started to allude to a little bit of this, Sean, in some of your comments, but what are some of the benefits now that you're actually seeing, as a result of working with Oracle?
Yeah, and I think I would come back to the two kind of maybe main points from my last comment: technology and organization. In large part, we are seeing all of the benefits that we expected to see in the technology. We're seeing the price performance at the level we need it to, exceeding it in many cases. We're seeing the reliability that our customers rely on us for, and ultimately that we then rely on you for. We're seeing all of the opportunities to continue to bring innovation to the cloud, because we can make selections for Oracle technology where it makes sense, and we can also bring other technologies, either first-party technologies that we innovate on or open source technologies from the open market that make sense for the solutions we're trying to deliver. But we're also seeing a continuation, and I think you said it very well, that you're with us for the long haul. We're seeing a continuation of that organizational commitment and the process that surrounds this, to make sure that whether we're evaluating new technologies from Oracle, whether we're working on the next phase of scale, or whether we're trying to go and modernize and innovate on a first-party basis and want to make sure we're maximizing the value and benefit that Oracle is providing, we're finding that the Oracle organization is coming alongside us, not only in terms of what it took to get to OCI, but also in terms of what it means to grow on OCI. I think that's been tremendously beneficial to both of our businesses. And as a result, it really gives us a confirmation and assurance and comfort that we're in this for the long haul, not only that you are.
Great. No, perfect. And sorry, I got to ask this next question because it's actually one of my favorite ones, right? Is obviously, we work with Körber, we work with you, but you've obviously got, as you mentioned earlier, right, hundreds, thousands of customers, and this is kind of what we're all doing together. What benefits are they actually seeing as a result of what we're doing together?
Yeah. So if you know much about supply chain, you know that supply chain as a market is very technologically cautious. Mm-hmm. The supply chain buyer typically doesn't know as much about maybe a cloud-centric preference. IT organizations are maturing very rapidly, but the organizational preference of a supply chain is typically towards, again, a more cautious approach to modernization and to innovation. There are exceptions, and there are great examples on the market of supply chains that are aggressive innovators, and that's not to take anything away from them. But in general, what the supply chain participant is going to look for is reliability and risk management or risk mitigation. And what they look for from us is a combination of risk mitigation and value at the solution layer, and as a result, a belief and a trust that foundational technology platform upon which the solution is built is able to scale to the level that they need it to, is able to provide class-leading cost management, and is able to support their focus. Because this, supply chain is going to really ask a very simple question. I need IT and I need infrastructure, but what I want to focus on is innovation and operations. I want my IT organization to be a transformation agent and to be focused on how I can be evolving my supply chain operations to satisfy, frankly, a very rapidly evolving set of customer expectations. What I need from technology as a result is technology that just works. Technology that scales to my 24/7 operation, technology that can burst to 500% capacity on Black Friday or another event, technology that can very rapidly evolve so that as I transition from business to business to consumer, or as I introduce buy online, pick up in store, or as I innovate in other, again, operational facets of my business, I'm never worried about whether the technology can keep up, but I'm purely focused on the next phase of value creation. The benefit that customers get from Oracle and from the combination of Körber and Oracle technology is that reliance and that sustainability that the technology foundation they're investing in is not something that's going to see them for the next 6 months or 12 months, but is a 5, 10, 15, 20-year investment that really relies on the assurance today of reliability, cost, and performance, but also on the continuation of innovation. That as their needs evolve, you're ahead of the curve, you're helping me be ahead of the curve, and ultimately that's making sure I'm helping them be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm sure what we've experienced with COVID over the last, 5, 6 months and what we're going to continue, you're in a space that's going to innovate, like crazy. They have adapted very quickly. And I can imagine they're all thinking about how they, take this to the next level. So it's gonna be exciting to see what you guys come out with, to support those innovations that they're thinking of as well. Last question, anything else that you would add? Anything I should have asked you? Any last comments?
Actually, I think the point that you just made is probably the closing point for me. COVID is a very unfortunate circumstance. It's certainly not one we ever would have wished for or planned for. And I know that many market participants across industries have struggled as a result of the inability to kind of forecast what the current times mean. But in my mind, it's also a bit of a blessing in disguise or a silver lining for those of us who are trying to battle test technologies in real time. The reality is, as you mentioned, telcos struggled because of COVID. Cloud providers struggled because of COVID and the unprecedented demands on capacity. Supply chain participants, our customers, struggled because of a rapid shift from purchasing in store to online purchasing, from everything from commodities to groceries. And what we have found is that all of the best laid plans really didn't mean much because, again, we couldn't forecast this. But the infrastructure that we laid and put in place as a consequence of the partnership with Oracle has been now battle tested in unprecedented times, has stood that test, and has really proven that what we're able to provide as a consequence of our partnership is something our customers can rely on, not only due to planned circumstances, but also when the unplanned happens, whether that unplanned proves to be an uplift to a customer's business or challenge to that business, or in many cases, a mixture of the two. I think that the current times may not have been the way I would have chosen to test our partnership, but I think we've stood very well as partners and as technology providers for the supply chain market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'd like to thank you for that partnership. I'd like to thank you for your time today. You spent a lot of it graciously with us and our viewers. I think you had a great story to tell. Hopefully people learned, some from what you guys have actually been on. So I look forward to continuing to work with you as we go forward. To everybody else out there, thanks again for tuning in to another Cloud Talk with Oracle. Join us again next time where we'll talk to yet another innovative ISV, talk in a different sector, let you guys hear a little bit of a different story. But again, today, thanks again, Sean. Appreciate everything and look forward to exciting things with Körber in the future.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everyone. Thanks.